Right, so the next general election, based on current polling, is predicting a Tory wipeout. So, surprise, surprise, all of a sudden, their compensation is getting doubled. What a coincidence it's happening just before a likely outgoing Tory government comes to a none too soon end. One recent poll has even suggested the Tories could end up behind the Lib Dems in terms of number of seats. I would believe such outcomes when I saw them, frankly, as joyous as it would be to see the snow-white smirk wiped off Sunak's face as he watches his rancid party get annihilated. Keir Starmer is probably their biggest asset right now, and the minute more people get to see more of him, I fully expect that Labour poll to tighten. They're likely not enough to make the overall outcome any different. The Tories will be ousted from power. It does look pretty certain at this point in time. By what degree, however, that's what the question is. Nothing says that more clearly, though, than the numbers of them already having stated they'll be stepping down at the next election. Dominic Raab, the bully, he's going. Sajid Javid, the banker, is going back to banking, apparently. Ben Wallace, the once touted future Tory leader, is off. Matt COVID care homes Hancock is going. Nadine Dorries might have gone by that point, still pretending to do her job whilst really just embarrassing her own party for denying her a seat in the Lords as she is right now at this moment in time. But of the 70 MPs that have publicly stated they are stepping down at the next election, well over half of them are Tories, who would rather walk than suffer the ignominy of being defeated. So amongst all this news, IPSA, the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, has decided to double the compensation paid out to outgoing MPs. Compensation, you might be thinking, what are they being compensated for? They're voted out, that's democracy, surely. But even those stepping down as MPs are not being voted out are getting it. Think of it as a redundancy package. It's just getting doubled. Previously, MPs were eligible for 2 months' pay, so £8,600 at their current wage rate. Now, though, it's going to be 4 months' worth, some £17,300. And the justification is that MPs need this in order to shut down their offices and pay off staff. Excuse me, since when did MPs pay for that out of their own pockets? It gets slapped on expenses. But if they've been voted out, they may no longer be eligible for expenses, you might be thinking. Well, IPSA's ruling on this states that former MPs will continue to have access to their normal budgets, prorated, for that 4-month period, and they will continue to employ staff as needed to assist them in winding up their affairs. Sounds like they still have expense accounts to me, then. Access to their normal budgets. You'd figure that would include office and staff running costs, would you not? Worse, these payouts never used to be for the entitlement of MPs who are voluntarily stepping down. Rather, the compensation was to cover the unexpected loss of their seat, not a planned for loss of their seat, stepping down from it, in other words. Of course, the Tories have got their excuses in there. Well, IPSA is independent. Who are we to go against their ruling? Is the line being trotted out. But of course, if they'd ruled in the other direction, they would have been held up, I'm sure. I'm equally as sure that they won't be voting to double redundancy packages for any other workers in this country either. On top of all of that, though, MPs who have been MPs for more than 2 years will get additional loss of office payments. Depending how long an MP has served for will depend how much that might end up being. All very vague, all a little bit opaque, all appearing to be a cash giveaway because the Tories are on their way out. Due to the apparent independence of IPSA, though, MPs won't argue against this move. Due to the fact IPSA was set up in the wake of the 2009 expensive scandal, Parliament don't debate it either. IPSA is completely autonomous. It isn't even one of those non-ministerial government departments I mention every so often in relation to other watchdogs, which claim to be independent too. So is there a pro-Tory agenda at work here, perhaps, and what can we base our suspicions on? Can I point to any particular evidence of this? Can I explain how this body, in light of the rest of us enduring a cost of living crisis, many of these MPs already having directorships or their precious second jobs to focus on and will hardly be out of pocket as a result of stepping down or losing their seats? Well, maybe. They really ought to try a lot harder in their justifications that MPs need longer to wind up in their affairs, though. IPSA deal with compensation like this. They deal with MPs' pay as well. They deal with MPs' expenses, and they always seem to err on the generous side for them, don't they? When the rest of us don't see the same treatment reflected in our lives or in our incomes. IPSA's independence. So let's come back to that one, though, because although they very much are independent, the same act of Parliament that brought IPSA into being, the Parliamentary Standards Act of 2009, also brought into being a committee, the Speaker's Committee for the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority. So what do they do then, Damo? Well, the Speaker's Committee consists of candidates for the posts of IPSA chair and members of IPSA itself. So already Parliament's involved. Now, when you consider the posts for IPSA chair and members of the authority then have to be ratified by the House of Commons in a vote, given the Tories have been in power since 2010, just a year after IPSA came into existence, all appointments have been ratified by a Tory majority House of Commons. Quite recently, the current chair, Richard Lloyd, having been appointed in 2021. So IPSA is independent insofar as Parliament ratifies all its appointments. Nothing says bias quite like picking the committee, really, does it? What are the rest of the Speaker's Committee, though? There are 11 members of this committee, consisting of the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, who has all the authority of an anxiety-ridden supply teacher, the Leader of the House of Commons, currently Penny Mordaunt, and the Chair of the Privileges and Standards Committee, which is currently the Red Tory Chris Bryant. Besides them, another 5 MPs are on the committee, along with 3 lay members, also selected by the Commons. So the independence of IPSA is, in my opinion, an academic level of independence, given the Commons ratify IPSA appointments and the committee that works with IPSA is full of MPs. So should we be very surprised when they award MPs their lovely big pay rises and double their compensation claims? I think probably not. And our disgust at this, in these times of hardship as we're living through at the moment, seem completely justified to me. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Drop a comment below and have your say on this too. Why wouldn't you have something to say about this? Meanwhile, here's another vid recommendation for you where despite 2/3 of all new wealth going to the 1%, there's no pay rise for us. The wealth divide increases all whilst their compo gets doubled. It's a charmed life for the elite few, isn't it? I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.